You ever wanted to be a god? Well, as close as you can be. Well, that's perfect. That's probably why you clicked on this video. Today I have a hunter build for you, but let's just start right off the bat and just say that you have to have Graviton Forfeit. Now here in the background you're going to see some gameplay, and I've highlighted the timer for invisibility and of course the melee and dodge charge so that you'll be able to see that my dodge and my melee always comes back before the invisibility timer goes down, meaning I'm permanently invisible and I never have to come out. Of course, you're going to need 100 mobility for this, because that's your dodge time. And of course, you're going to need 100 strength, because without it, your smoke bombs won't recharge fast enough. You could probably get by with a 9, but let's not push it. Now, moving on to the super, you're going to want to have any super you want. You need marksman dodge, because it's the shortest cooldown. Any jump can go. Of course, your smoke bomb. Any grenade you really want. You don't have to be picky. You can do whatever you want. And of course, you're going to want Trapper's Ambush and Vanishing Step. That's what's going to make you invisible after all, using your smoke bomb and your dodge. Now, you're going to need Dilation, Persistence, Instability, and Vigilance. You can kind of mess around with it if you want. I don't recommend it, as this is what really helps you. Of course, some of them are more important than the others, like increased invisibility time, but it's up to your interpretation. But I don't recommend changing anything, and this way also your grenade, which is a guaranteed kill with Axion Bolt, could give you a free volatile rounds up for 10 seconds. So I highly advise running something like Falling Guillotine, Retrofit Escapade, or what I found to be a lot of fun with this build, Ruinous Effigy. Now moving on to the armor, of course you're going to have your Graviton Forfeit. That's just obvious. Now, you can run this with almost anything. Of course, your stat mods is whatever you choose to be. But I found to run with 3 siphons is just better, because of course orbs are going to help stuff, including giving you Devour and all that. Now, I've learned that the best thing you can do is you can switch it to 1 or 2 siphons if you want, and put something like Special Ammo Finder on, but that's up to you. Now moving on to the actual Graviton Forfeit, you want to highlight this perk Vanishing Shadow, because this increases the duration by another 2 to 3 seconds by itself, which is crucial. And then while you're invisible, your melee, which is your smoke bomb, will recharge faster, your weapons reload faster, and your recovery is greatly increased. Now, of course, this means you can reload your entire arsenal while invisible fast, so almost guaranteed, and you'll pretty much guarantee get your whole health back, which is crucial. Now moving on to the gauntlets, we got Focusing Strike, Melee Kickstart. That's crucial in itself. You definitely want to have 2 Melee Kickstarts. Without them, you could potentially do it, but I highly don't advise trying to do this without 2 Kickstarts. And of course, Focusing Strike, just to give you a little help in case your smoke bombs do hit a couple of enemies, just guaranteed gives you back some of your dodge energy, which is pretty useful. And moving on to the cloak, we want Outreach and of course Utility Kickstart. These 2, technically 4 Kickstart mods are crucial. You need these 4. 2 melees, 2 utilities. Outreach, of course, if you want to switch it, I guess you can. You don't absolutely need it, as will be shown later, but it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of extra help with your charge. So definitely have the 2 melee Kickstarts and the 2 utility Kickstarts, because that's how you're going to get back your melee and your dodge almost instantaneously in reality, but you'll see more later with gameplay. And with the chest piece, pretty simple. I mean, I thought it would be better to go with a good resistance just to get a little void reduction, fill up something. Charged up gives you some more room for armor charges with the thanks of, for your kickstarts and stuff like that. Get 4 with the orbs. And of course, harmonic reserves, because the whole goal is to use things like void weaponry to pair with the super and all that. So things like Ruinous Effigy, Retrofit Escapade, and of course, Falling Guillotine. Now we're going to go into a Master Nightfall to show this off. I mean, I'm a low power, as you can see, 1784. I will die in 1 shot. So here we go into the Scarlet Keep, or at least the outside of it, I guess. And let's start showing this off already. So here we go. Let's apply a smoke bomb. And we're just going to sit next to the enemies. I mean, and if you watch the timer, crucial to watch the timer for this, I'm going to come right back into invisibility instantly. Never do I have to leave. Now let's go to the bridge where there's even more enemies to test this out in. Let's go over here, and we're just going to sit here, and we're going to see how long we can just sit here with them. Even when you apply the smoke bomb, you barely even come out of invisibility for seconds. So it is a little bit helpful that when you throw the smoke bomb, not when you dodge while you're invisible, when you throw the smoke bomb, it is probably advised to jump because they will try to shoot your last known location, which of course is where you apply the smoke bomb. So it's probably best to just jump, get out of there a little bit. But later I'm going to show you that it doesn't even matter with enemies. I will show you. But as you see, I'm sitting here taunting a bunch of thralls and acolytes and of course even a champion, and they can't do a single thing about it. Alright, now moving on, I told you that you didn't even have to have enemies for this, so let me show you this. You can sit in the back of the map or in any spot where there's no enemies and still get your stuff back to go invisible non-stop. Meaning, while your two other teammates in something like a strike or a nightfall of any sort are getting blasted and sitting there struggling, don't worry about wiping because you are sitting in the back invisible. Nobody knows you're there. You're perfectly fine, perfectly safe. And I thought this build was only going to be good near enemies because Graviton Forfeit has a secret perk, which has to do with sitting around enemies because that gives you 800% melee recharge rate when you're near enemies while invisible. They don't tell you that, but it is in the exotic. But I've learned that you don't need to be near enemies. So if you want to be permanently invisible, be my guest. It's completely up to you whether you want to be near the enemies or not. But this build is honestly, you will become God because enemies cannot or will not shoot you because they don't even know you're on the battlefield. Of course, right there in gameplay, you see is a perfect example of jump when you throw it because they will shoot your last known location. So make sure you do that. Now, to keep it going, is this build usable in PvP? Yes. You cannot stay invisible 100% of the time because your melee cooldown from Graviton Forfeit is not as fast as PvE. That's a bit obvious. But what I will say is you can use this build in PvP. I have tested it. And you will probably be able to stay invisible about 80 to 90% of the time. It's insane. Good for flanks. It's a new build. Trust me, try this build out and use it. You will not regret it, especially for high-end PvE activities and maybe just having a lot of fun in Crucible. It's definitely something really fun to use. Now, it's up to you, but thank you for watching. And I hope you share this build around to everybody. Show them. Show all your hunters. Show some new lights. All you need is Graviton Forfeit and some of the mods. And yeah, have fun, guys.